video on.
I'll do. This is only 20 minutes after part 1, you know.
That's why I'm on a good day.
Yeah, still 9 out of 10, still got the white dog hairs, got a brew now and some jammy dodgers. Right, out of interest this for me, and I'm sure some of you guys will be interested, I'm going to ask Anita. I have my own ideas about psychiatric hospitals. I've dropped prisoners off, you know, wards, mental health hospitals, whatever you want to call it, forensic units. I've dropped people off, I've been in them. I've never worked in, oh I have, what am I saying? I worked in, well, no, when I worked at the 2 homes at Mansfield and Chesterfield with the lasses with mental health problems. However, I don't look at them as mental health hospitals. They were like, literally like 2 Premier Lodges. Yeah. So it was as normal as you're going to get. There was no seclusion room. It weren't in a hospital. It was a
136 suite. It's known.
Yeah. It was a proper home environment. They had a big dining room.
Yeah.
So even though them lasses, you know, a lot of them had been to Ashworth, Broadmoor, Last Chance Saloon. And a lot of them were seriously ill. It was in a normal home environment, but that, I guess you would call a forensic unit, wouldn't you? Yeah. But not on a medical front. But I've never been in one as a patient. So we briefly chatted about it before, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it was not what I expected at all. No. So as much as you're comfortable with, I don't know whether your last experiences, you know, was any experience when you've been sectioned worse than any other, or?
I think the first time, because you're not really sure what to expect. You don't really know what's going on. You don't even know what day it is, because I think I'd come from ICU onto like a normal ward. And
so you come from intensive care?
Yeah, intensive care, then onto like a normal ward, and then and that's even that's strange, because obviously you've got mental health. You're on a ward where they don't deal with mental health, and they're like, you know.
So it weren't a specialist unit?
No. And then eventually, like when you've recovered, because again, there's such a crossover. The mental health unit can't deal with you when you're
in crisis,
and still in that mode. So then I got put in a mental health unit.
Just explain that a minute, because I'll explain something and I'll get Anita to explain, because again, people don't understand. So obviously at Strangeways we had a detox wing.
Yeah.
The worst detoxers, whether it be alcohol or drugs, came on healthcare.
Right.
Till they were stable, and then they go to the detox wing.
Yeah.
In hospital, when they have their own special wards, they need you manageable.
Exactly, yeah.
Don't they? So if you like, the first stage where you're medicated and you spend it on a normal ward.
Yeah, because you can't walk around on the mental health unit with cannulas, and you can't have catheters in and all that kind of stuff. So you wake up, you know, I've woke up, my experiences, woke up, you know, going, can I have, excuse me, can I go to the toilet? Got a catheter on, love? And you're going, what? Got a catheter on? Because you've
Why did they do that? If you can go.
Well, yeah, because I've been out of it for days. I've been in a coma.
Oh, right, yeah, of course.
So
sorry.
you come out of it going, excuse me, can I go to the toilet?
Do they put you in a coma?
Yeah, I've always been in induced comas. The only one time was obviously when I was in A&E, and I said to my friend, I'm going to go, and she went, you're not bloody going, it's took me this long to get you in. I went, no, I'm going. And literally just went poof, and they run in. She said she was shoved out the way, and this straight into resused, and then go through that system then where you're in ICU. And
let's make it quite clear, these like that attempt you had had was as good as you had taken enough medication to kill yourself, hadn't you?
Yeah, I never say I've attempted suicide. I commit suicide. You know, for me, it's there's no attempt about it. I was doing it.
You've taken enough.
You've just bloody intervened. That's all that's happened. You know, somebody has intervened, and that's how I've ended up in A&E. You know,
which happens quite a lot with medication, because you don't go as quick as you think you'd go, do you?
Yeah, no. Which that's
a big
strange.
Thing.
Yeah. I mean, because I've took massive overdoses before, you know. I'm talking like 400 tablets of something. I mean, I've even took the dog's tramadol before today. You just running around like chaotic, trying to find anything and everything. The dog's medication, my medication, everything that you can find, paracetamol, the lot. You know, whatever you can get hold of, really. Yeah, and it's quite chaotic, you know, taking all the meds, and I've not told anybody, and I've just been to sleep and then got up, needed an hour, gone back to sleep, and I've lasted like 3 or 4 days like that before I've gone, no, by the way, I took an overdose. And you're just in and out of consciousness, basically. That's all that is before you get to uni.
Obviously you're aware of the consequences. I'll
Yeah.
just tell you now, for people who might not understand that, we had a young lad come into Forest Bank in reception. He said had a day before, 2 days before, he'd taken overdose paracetamol. Come into Forest Bank, after 2 weeks went to hospital. 2 weeks later he died of that overdose. Because it can do that, can't it?
Of course, you can get blood clots. You can, you know, the medication, you know, what is severe. It's, you know, it's not intended to be taken like all at once. You know, that's medication should be as prescribed by your doctor. You know, and that's the other thing as well with a lot of mental health patients I speak to. I'm not going to say for everybody, but you know, we'll try and double up on our meds, or we think that we're like the bloody doctor where we know what we're on about, and we'll just go, oh yeah, a couple more's not going to make much difference, and you'd be surprised the side effects that you'll get from.
See, I always thought that if you took a big overdose that you'd go to sleep, everything would stop and that it'd be gone, but it is.
You need a lot.
The lad we were talking about earlier, he talks about hard and soft suicide. So hard will be like jumping off a 20-story building.
Yeah.
You know, there's no coming back from that.
Mm-hmm.
Soft. I hope that doesn't. It won't sound bad.
No,
people know what I mean,
yeah,
won't they?
Get it. Yeah.
Soft is like he said. He's tried to take his own life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's not wanting to be here. He says I couldn't do the hard.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't go and lay on a train track. I couldn't chuck myself off a bridge.
I get it. Mm-hmm.
The medication, but he says the soft side.
Yeah.
You know, like yourself, he says, you know, I've taken enough meds to kill 2 elephants.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And same as you, on a drip, God knows what they put in you, what them drugs do. For 4 days, he'll wake up from a coma, still alive.
Yeah. Well, often they'll give you like a charcoal, and basically what it does is you drink it, and you're obviously quite off it anyway, and it basically forms around the medication, almost to like stop it from going into your bloodstream.
Is that within a short period of time?
Yeah.
You'd have to take that.
As soon as you get to
work?
A&E, they usually that's when they usually give it to you if they know you've gone a bit crazy on the medication.
Are you going to kick the camera again? It wobbled
Sorry.
then. I'm only kidding.
It was me. Jelly on the plate.
So, okay, so you know you've taken it in. What do you know anything about the drugs that when they put you in a coma that they're giving you, what they do?
Yeah, well, I mean, usually when you come round from the coma, I have been hallucinating really badly when I've seen people that are not there, and I've thought that the doctors and the nurses are talking about me and they're trying to kill me. One time when I'd come from the coma, I was convinced I couldn't walk, so I climbed out of bed and I was like James Bond style on my arms, dragging myself across and it was about 3 a.m. I was convinced my mum was over in the next set of doors that I could see. So and I got to like the nurses station, and obviously it was dark and quiet, and the nurses are just like looking at me, and I'm like, I want my mum, she's in that room, and they're like, Anita, she's not, and I'm going, she is, you just hiding her from me, and like, so they actually took me in a wheelchair because I said I couldn't walk, so they were like almost played along with it and showed me that in the room there was just another nurses station. basically, of people.
So they, you know, to sort of put you at ease or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
obviously these guys, the nurses, understand how people are
Yeah.
when they're coming round or whatever.
Yeah, because of the induced coma, you've been given a drug that actually it will give you hallucinations. So there were, for example, there was a squirrel on the ward that kept hopping from bed to bed, and there was also a ward cat that the sister used to walk on a daily basis around the nurses' station. And I'm talking to you like they exist and it's a matter of fact, and I'm talking to you the way that I talk about that Sean is in the head.
How long are you like that for?
Just a couple of days usually.
A couple of days.
A couple of days.
When you say just a couple of days hallucinating, I can't think of anything worse.
Well, it's horrible when you think, especially when it's bad thoughts. So when you think they're trying to kill you, and stuff like that. That was probably the scariest experience I've ever had. Do you know what? And that's the irony, isn't it? You're in there because you've taken an overdose, and now you're worried somebody's trying to kill you, and you're like, didn't you want to die, you know? And then eventually you moved on to psychiatric ward where
can you remember the first time you went on one? Obviously.
Yeah, scared to death.
Well, you're on a 9 today, 9 out of 10, so
Yeah. Well, it was mixed when I first went on psychiatric
wow.
ward. So you've got a square, and this side is all female, this side is all male, and then you have a mixed day room. So it's a mixed ward when I first went on. And then on this side you've got the station, the nurses' station, if you like, a carer station. And then on this side you've got medication hatch. That one flew over the cuckoo's nest, it really is. And you've got, you know, your medication time, you know, and there's times are set, and you go if you do meds at certain times. And honest to God, you know when you're ready for your meds. It's like you're hanging on and hanging on. Like, I want my meds, I want my
Literally
meds.
counting down.
Oh yeah, because night meds were horrific. Night meds weren't till 9 o'clock at night. I mean, by 6 o'clock, you know, I'm like craving meds now.
So you'd had a problem in the prison with meds, because obviously when it all gets locked down and that,
Yeah.
they're not giving meds at appropriate times. So in
my
prison,
God.
prisoners would be taking, when you wanted your night meds, prisoners would be getting them, but they didn't want them then. They didn't want their night meds at tea time, but
Yeah.
that's when they'd be getting them and made to
Right.
take them.
Okay.
So you can see that would be
that'd be a
problematic
massive
in itself.
problem. Yeah. Well, plus the side effects that I imagine that some of the prisoners that are on they'd be going to falling asleep nearly about at like 6, 7 o'clock, you know, and then waking up in the middle of the night.
And there weren't many there weren't many people had their meds in possession, obviously, because it's quite a dangerous thing.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. So yeah, that was like the first time I was on, but I met two cracking blokes, like older middle-aged blokes, and I came in on a wheelchair, and they said, "Do you want a brew, love?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, please." And that was it. Then I sat with them for.
Explain, because I'm sure if you watch One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest, it's a very controlled environment, isn't it? If you kick off, you get medicated.
That's the same.
You know, probably terrifying. It is quite laid back, isn't it? In that, you know, if you want to go somewhere and do something, you're not confined to a room or.
No, so but I mean, it is very basic, and your room is everything's screwed down, everything's plastic. So your toilet, your sink, all that's kind of
glass.
plastic. There's definitely no glass. Yeah, it's all kind of, like I said, very basic, screwed down. You don't have coat hangers or all like that, you know. It just is. You've got a wardrobe, which is weird, but yeah, there's nothing. It's stapled to the wall, if you like,
Well,
so you can't.
You just mentioned the word. Then I remember in them forensic units, one at Lassers had got a massive arm.
Yeah.
She says, "Do you want to feel my arm?" And I felt her arm. It was red hot. I says, "Is that infected?" Yeah. What is it? She got 200 staples in her arm.
Yeah. I've done that before.
Inserted them. So one of the jobs, if you were on like at the weekend, you got all the magazines and you had to take all the staples out before you handed them out.
Yeah, I've done that. That's one of the
Inserting.
things. So yeah, 250 carpet staplers I stapled in my legs.
Actually stapled.
Got the staple gun without feeling that. So because the cutting wasn't working. The next thing for me was to carpet staple my legs, and my husband Darren took them out with pliers before I got admitted, because then they'd like bound them up and everything, just made sure there was no infection, give me some antibiotics as well, so they were on my script. So when I was going up getting me daily meds, I was getting my antibiotics as well to make sure that there was no infection. So they do deal with kind of like that side of it, but I will say, like, they don't accept and they won't accept anything like anybody trying to strangle themselves or anything like that. You're automatically discharged, and it's like, oh my god,
we
you've
had
been
prisons,
discharged
we had
for doing
prisons
that.
like that.
Yeah, so
When they
won't put up
discharged,
with it. They just go back into the community. So a lot of the time, what you'll find is a couple of days later, you'll see them again. You know, if you're brought in by the police,
they can bring you in on a section, can't
that's
they?
right. Yeah. So generally, for your own safety and the safety of the public and everybody else, and generally you go in the 136 suite. Not always, but the seclusion room. Yeah. And you literally can be gone from the seclusion room back out into the community, or they can then bring you onto the ward. And it's always interesting. You are on total lockdown in psychiatric ward. You are not free unless you have seen your psychiatrist. So that was always the first time that's quite difficult, because you could have just missed the psychiatrist. So if you get admitted on a Wednesday, say Wednesday afternoon, my psychiatrist day was always a Wednesday, so I wouldn't be allowed to go off the ward or see anybody until the following Wednesday, when I'd had my first psychiatric appointment. Then you might be only awarded 15 minutes off the ward with a accompanied person, so that'd be member of staff off the ward, or somebody like my mum or your partner, but they have to be like named on your care plan. So
was it medium secure where you were, or low secure?
No, locked. You're locked in. There's two doors, so basically this is the door to the outside world, and this is the door to the inside, and there's that I don't know what you call them in prison,
a lock.
An airlock.
So you're allowed in, and then I would think that is medium secure,
right?
Because I've been on hospital wards where, you know, as we've gone out, there's a nurse keying in a code, and we've
oh no,
no, so this is proper.
Yeah, you can't get anywhere.
There's no getting off.
No, there's no getting anywhere. You're in. People try. We all go.
What about normal things like breakfast? Do they have breakfast time? Do you go and sit together?
So breakfast time, that's the other thing as well. So you can be free to go to your room, and depending on what you're in for, will depending on how many times you get seen. And I mean by seen, they have a book and they walk round. So you could be on 15 minutes, so they'll check you every 15-minute obs. You could be on half an hour obs, hourly obs, or you could be on a one-to-one, where basically your door's got to be open and there'll be a member of staff outside your door.
Seen it all the time, yeah.
Could be doubled, depending on how high risk you are, where there's two members of staff with you all the time. And the thing about psychiatric ward is you've got every person under every spectrum of anything mental health. So you could be
schizophrenic at that end.
Schizophrenic, yeah, absolutely.
So I don't mean just somebody, but somebody with anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely. So we call them tics. So you sometimes by the way you're speaking, or if you do something, you can set somebody off. You know, if you've got anxiety and somebody's kicking off, I've been there when somebody's put the telly through, for example, picked up a massive chair or TV and thrown it through the TV and it's smashed. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I need, like, you're going to have to give me diazepam, because I'm like on the ceiling, you know. Then generally after, like, there's been an incident, they get you all out the room and stuff, but in the day room, if there's been an incident, they then have to deal with the aftermath of an incident of people that are like me, who've got anxiety.
Well, yeah, if you've got anxiety, have you seen people being restrained and that then?
Yeah, and given injections. So they'll give you, and you know, if obviously, I had one of the girls who he used to knock about with, she would smack her head against the wall, and obviously if they know that you're on obs, but it doesn't stop people doing what they want to do. But then, you know, they are there to prevent you from harming yourself and others, and so they'll give you an injection, and then you'll go. There is like 3 wards, 4 wards really, on the hospital I go in. So you can be sent to a different category of ward. Touch wood, I've only ever been on 2 of the wards.
What are the staff interactions like? Because I remember you just said that when you started doing quetiapine, how it just took you out. That 2 of the other lasses, patients or people, were putting you to bed.
Yeah. I remember one of the staff members. He's funny, such a good guy. He was probably one of the first people that I met when I went into psychiatric, and he sat on the end of my bed when I first got in, and I was obviously upset and everything, and I was able to talk to him, and luckily, touch wood, each time I've been in, he's been there, and there's no mention of, oh, you're here again, or nothing like that. It's always like, are you, unless you're ready to talk, they don't talk to you kind of thing about why you're there or whatever, and they're well made up for you when you get out. So the guy in question, he's called Jordan, amazing, and there's another lady, Susan, who's just amazing. I've still got her little bracelet she gave me. 2 members of staff were absolutely fantastic on that ward, at just doing everyday stuff for you, like, wash your hair, I'll blow dry it for you, just to, instead of going, you're right state. And even the showers, that's one of, do you remember the old school showers that used to push? So that you obviously can't drown yourself, so they've got everything ticked off kind of thing. Quite
you did say before, there's some quite unfortunate people coming in, and there's people coming off streets. I mean, I found that's quite upsetting, isn't it? You were saying. Because you wouldn't imagine that. Well, you tell your story about the lass who coming off streets.
Honestly, there's been many
got nothing,
people
have
I've
they?
met over the no, like literally stood up in the clothes that they're in, and between the lasses who have been in there. So to explain, I think it was about 2016, 17, they then went to same-sex wards. So obviously this time I was in the lasses who I was bothering with. We had a bit of a whip round, and I mean, I say whip round, it's awful, like she was wearing like a pair of my knickers, God love her, and a pair of my socks, and somebody else's night dress.
There's no clothes available, is there?
Oh, unless it's like something that people have left behind, which is you've got hospital pyjamas, that's about it. And it's awful because you say hospital pyjamas, I mean pretty much, sorry, I'm in my pyjamas now, but I'm always in my pyjamas. You have hospital pyjamas, and the hospital pyjamas, because they're them green and blue ones, so people are walking around in them, so you like offer them some clothes, and there's a washer there and everything, but there's people that have got the ability to, so when you get yourself up and running, when you can do stuff for yourself.
Do people look after you when you first went in? Other patients or whatever you want to call them? There's
definitely that looking out for each other, like, and there's nobody telling their story. You don't sit there and go, what are you in for? What are you in for? I don't know if that's what they do in prison.
No, the people I've met don't want to do that. It's your own personal story. Why am I going to sit with some? She says. I'm not a stranger, am I?
You're not. No.
Yeah, but why? Yeah, it's difficult. That.
There's nobody asking your story or anything like that. So, but you just, I don't know what it is. You could be in for anything, and people not understand why you're in, whether you're schizophrenic or whatever your diagnosis. Generally, everybody tends to like rally round, help shout, and before you know it, within minutes you've got like shampoo, hair gel, oh, you can lend me my hairdryer, I'm in room, whatever.
No double bubble.
No.
Like
No.
prison.
No. So it's it's generally pretty much like that. But I will say, you know, depending on what people are in there for, no 2 days ever the same, you know, and it can kick off.
If it does, it can start bouncing, can't it? If someone gets upset, then it can have a knock-on effect. Like huge. Yourself, you can end up getting anxious.
Or I can be having a bad day, you know, and have a knock-on effect to somebody else. With my diagnosis, I've never kicked off. It's not, I don't have mania or anything like that. But I will call them friends. I was out with one this week. We went just for coffee to near my sister's shop. She has mania, so she can be like screaming, like
manic. Manic, and
at the door of like where the staff are. You better effing do this and that. You know, she'll want a medication or she'll want a phone charging or something, because obviously if you are at risk of suicide, then there's nothing better than somebody having an iPhone with a charger, or a hairdryer, or somebody saying, I can plait my legs, can I have a shaver? You're like, oh, we was just after a razor. But everything like that, you have to hand back, and they clock it, like they make a note of it and stuff like that. And then the best day is when you can start having a visitor. And that's another thing for people who are not used to psychiatric. They come on to the day room and visit you. And they you can see people sat there going...
People will be terrified, won't they?
Yeah, because people come over and they might have whatever, schizophrenia or personality disorder like me, and they'll be like... They don't have any personal space to be like, are you?
Yeah.
Who's this? And you're like, you're terrified, and you'll go, just give him a minute, you know.
On the forensic unit Samworth, you had to be very careful. Obviously, a lot of people, there's childhood abuse and things like that. Women have been abused by men, but there's a lot of sexualised behaviour. You have to be so careful, because like you just said, no personal space.
No.
You know, one lass, if you made the mistake of hugging her, that was it.
Yeah.
She'd make a beeline for you.
Yeah. Well, it's mixed staff as well. That's the other thing. A lot of people can't get their head around when they go. Is that, especially if you're saying that that's kind of an experience that they've been exposed to.
Yeah.
That then to find that there's males working on the unit. I mean, you know, it's no. I'm pro NHS. You know, I think what they've done and what they do is amazing, but you find that sometimes on a lot of the units, the ones I've been on anyway, you do get a lot of bank staff, and they're not the same as the regular staff.
It happens, you know, our last works in care and that, it happens the same. There's nothing like having your own staff, is there?
No.
You know, people who want to do that job and care for people and stuff like that.
They know your history. You know, they know your history. They know you as a person. You know.
Yeah, it's very impersonal, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you get people in any form of care who you used to get in prison. You know, someone would turn up on your unit on overtime. They see that as a cushy number. They weren't there to do anything. They run overtime, and you know, our lass gets it.
You do. You'll get them sat round a table, and you know, doing nothing. You can see like 2 or 3 of the regular members of staff running around like absolutely, you know.
Well, that's what you do, isn't it? Because it's easier to do yourself than.
Yeah. Well, then you'll get like as well when you're in there, because you become. I don't know what the word is, indoctrinated, or that becomes your home almost, you know, and you've not seen the outside world for however long.
Does it seem like a lot longer than it is when you're in there?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in for 4 months. That's the longest I've been in, which
it's quite a long time.
Quite a long time. It didn't see me. I was safe. I was secure. I was not a risk to myself.
Explain how you actually get out.
Wow. So you get out by following the regime. I assume it's very much like that in prison.
Of course it is.
You know, the regime is you take your meds, you listen to, you know, what they're saying on ward round. So you get, everybody gets a ward round. The staff members have input, you know, every change of members 3 times, 4 times a day, they will do a changeover, a handover, and all that will get documented.
And a little blip can put you back, can't it?
Huge.
Explain.
Yeah, huge. So I've still got a friend who's still inside.
From your last time?
From my last time, yeah. Yeah, so basically she admitted to them that she'd brought medication in, and yeah, it basically set her back. She was supposed to go to another place for a longer term, and they've not accepted her, so she's still like in there really, when she should be somewhere else getting, you know, the care that she needs. You
can end up with a portfolio of notes, can't you?
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
You know, if you have, I don't know, if you have a manic day, go a bit mad, do whatever.
Oh yeah, you can have an injection in your ass, which is not very nice. I remember one of the girls.
Have you ever had a?
No, I've never.
You've never had depot. You've already taken them orally.
Yeah, I've always been good as gold, me. I'll ask for meds if I need meds. You know, like diazepam and things like that when I'm having a bad time. And I've been on meds, like huge amounts of stuff like diazepam and things like that, to the point where when I first started taking quetiapine, I woke up one day, I thought, oh, I feel good today, like go and have a bit of scran, like bit of dinner, and then do a bit of colouring, because I love colouring when I'm on the wards. I'll do a bit of colouring, just keep your head down, you know. Walked in the day room, it was 3 o'clock. That's how bad I like quetiapine. I went, this is ridiculous. So they had to move the quetiapine to a night time, because I just said to them, look, I can't function like this. And like I said, I'm really lucky. The psychiatrist that I see, he's really good with me. He you know, he lets me be involved in my own care, which is, you know, I think for me is a really good thing.
What part of the care plan?
Yeah, part of my care plan, part of saying this, look, I can't function on 3 o'clock medication. If I'm going to get out of it, I want a job again eventually, you know, and get my life back on track.
Is the quetiapine, it's antipsychotic in it?
It is
that
yeah.
For the voices?
It's for the voices, yeah. Touch wood.
And the other thing that you brought up, purpose and quality of life.
Yeah.
Right, on medication, you just said you moved the quetiapine because it's not always a consideration, is it?
No, God, no.
There is people in mental health, the fact that you're still alive is success.
Yes.
And quality of life is not at the forefront of some people's
agenda.
Yeah.
No,
and I think it's not like me saying it sat here, but I think it should be. I mean, quality of life should be everything, but it's not, is it?
No.
Them forensic units I worked in, so towards the end, I remember going on one day. I was going to be starting at Forest Bank. I was going to India on holiday, just doing a couple of shifts, probably last week. I remember walking in, wow, atmosphere gone. I last called Marie. Always used to speak to her. She'd been locked up since she was 17, she was 60. She'd always been in mental health, never been out.
Yeah.
She'd done Rampton.
Yeah.
When I first met her, she was unmedicated. And you can have a conversation. Obviously, you have to get that trust being a man, but once you did, you know, you go and have a conversation like me and you have a conversation. I went in this day, Marie walked up to you, all right, love, fuck all, blank. I said fuck all because, and then it dawned on me, and there was a charge nurse on, there was a nurse and a charge nurse. I said to the charge nurse in bits, big hug. She was a lass, who cared, big hug. New doctor come in, changed everyone's meds. Literally nothing was happening. People were either in the rooms asleep, or there was nobody in the day room. You know, that home, there was a lass there, I remember being schizophrenic. I used to take her into, it was all cameraed up, you had to be careful being a man, always in eye shot with non-member staff. So you could go in car, non-camera, take her out, took her shopping, that sort of thing. It was just dead. It was dead. Nobody was doing anything. Nobody was playing cards. Nobody watching TV. Fucking sad. And that was a new psychiatrist come in, changed everyone's meds.
Yeah, they can change, people's meds. Where I remember when I started on quetiapine, one of the members of staff, I'll not say the name, but they knew they are. It was actually quite a funny comment, but because I looked like I were punch drunk like with it, and they went, "You look like a 3 o'clock bird," like like somebody did take over at 10 to 2.
10 to 2 we call it.
Because I was absolutely off my tree on this, like medication. And when we talked about the fact that I've had fellow inmates take me to bed and stuff, but I wear
inmates.
Well, we're all inmates, patients. You become a little family, and like when somebody goes, that you're pleased for them, but at the same time you're like, please never let them come in again. Do you know what I mean? Or I wonder what they're like on the outside. When they get out.
I would imagine you get quite close to people because it's sort of, I don't know, it backs up against the wall type thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and if you're in for quite a substantial amount of time, you quickly build up that relationship with people. Again, you don't talk about why you're in there and stuff, but it's just general stuff. Do you want a brew? You would like the same stuff on telly, Do you get any privacy if you need it? You've got your own room, but obviously don't forget if you're on what obs you're on. You can't just go and lock yourself in, can you? No. Your screens are open anyway, if you're on 15-minute obs, or your door's open if you're on the one-to-one or whatever, so nowhere's privacy really. Even the bathroom, they'll knock on, are you in there, Anita, or whatever, and they're like, yeah, what I mean? But even a razor, like, obviously, especially with somebody like me who, is self-harms, that's like,
What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts? I don't know whether they do them in Scotland. At one bit, they had cutting rooms. Because they decided if people are going to self-harm, what they try and do, give them a room, give them a sterile blade, let them do it, attend to it or whatever. So, in prison, obviously you have to be very careful with razors because you don't want worst case scenario, so you do keep an eye on them like they would in forensic units. What I'm asking is, what are your thoughts if you're at a point you need to cut, but you can't because you haven't got anything, are you going to take that next level or do something else? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you'll find though what is difficult in there as well is everybody's got each other's back. So if they know, so for example, you've got your eyes on somebody, brought a can of pop in, you obviously twist the can of pop, but they'll grass you. Everybody grasses on everybody.
So was there times in there when you wanted to cut?
Oh yeah,
but couldn't?
Yeah.
So what do you do?
They'll ask for diazepam. Ask for meds.
Is that like PRN? What's it stand
PRN.
for? What's it stand for? That do you know? It means you can
like
ask for it and you're written up for it, isn't it? So if you aren't within a reasonable time, you can take that.
But sometimes it depends who you've got on as well, a nurse or doctor wise. This is one of my other like big
beefs.
Yeah, got beef. I have really got a beef with it. You go to the counter and they'll go, so why do you need it? And you'll go, well, I'm feeling like I'm gonna crawl, you know, off the ceiling. Well, what have you tried? And if somebody says to you, have you tried breathing? Or have you tried, like having a little walk down the corridor? You just want to go, like, just give me the tablets, because I'm one of them people that would not ask. And there was on a few occasions I had to say to certain members of staff who trusted me and I trusted them. I mean, we're talking like 10 years worth of admittances that they've known.
Well, yeah, same as me. You know, you get to know people.
Exactly. And when they're saying to you, and I need PRN, they'll go, I'll get it sorted for you. Because some nurses or doctors that you go to, you say need PRN, honestly, you'd be like Oliver Twist.
Like it's their own medication.
As though like they own it and it's their, you'd be going with your bloody begging bowl, and you would need it. I know there's some people that would go and they don't need it, and I understand that, and I understand that they have to be careful. But when they know you, I just think it takes the piss. I'm just like, seriously, just give me. I'm not asking for, and I know for what it is as well. Like, it's minimal dose. You know, I would rather take that than nothing. Also, as well, when I've been good enough to have been allowed home for, you know, say maybe an hour or 2 hours, whatever. That's weird as well, because you feel like you've been on holiday.
I was going to ask you what that's like.
You know, when you've been on holiday for a week or 2 weeks and you come back home, you've always got that thing, haven't you? Like, oh, my home's not my own.
Yeah, it takes you a while. It does take you a little bit just to settle down.
Acclimatise. It feels like that. Like when you come home, so that's weird. Like, you know, Darren will go, do you want a brew? And you'll be thinking,
is it literally an hour to start with or something like that?
So you might only have 15 minutes. You know, where are you going to go in 15 minutes? You know, hospital ground or whatever. So it can be like 15 minutes, it can be an hour, it can be quite a few hours. Also as well, it might be you're on an overnighter. So, but I guess the person, I know that always, if it's been an overnighter, Darren has always been a little bit, he's not slept very well, you know, just making sure that I'm all right, you know, so that can have detrimental effects on family members and people who, you know, who are looking after you and caring for you and stuff. But also as well, I always go back in and I've told them what I've had. So if I took 10 milligram or 20 milligram of diazepam, for example, they class that as an overdose because PRN is 5 milligram.
Oh, is it? Is that all they give you?
Tell me about it.
I don't know a lot about diazepam. The time I've had it in my life, but 5 is nothing, is it?
No.
It's not gonna.
Don't touch the sides. I can take 40 milligram of diazepam and still have all the conversation, and that's a lot of diazepam. You know, that's the elephant thing we talked about before.
Buckets of diazepam and stuff given to people.
So I can take, my body can tolerate quite a high amount, a high dose. So I would have to go back in and say, by the way, at home, you know, I took X amount of diazepam. Now, some doctors.
Being honest, could that knock you back? Like we've said, could that like mean that you don't get another visit for a fortnight and you might be staying there another month?
Yeah, could be. Yeah, could be. It will be discussed. It's like, you know, at ward round, you know, why did you do that, or, you know, and they are reasonable, you know, if you can kind of justify. To me, 20 milligram is not an overdose, and you know, and I probably will sound like I'm just being dismissive. I'm not, because it is.
No, you're not.
I am in hospital, and you know, I have come home and I have taken X amount of tablets, but they will use their discretion, or their. Often you'll get referred to A&E. Just to have a once over, or you might get a doctor on call that just comes around and checks your vitals, for example.
What will they do in A&E?
Just do your vitals. Might do ECG, you know, that kind of thing, just to check that you're all right.
Really?
Blood pressure, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you can get sent to. But like you said, that can knock you back. So you're better off keeping your nose clean, taking your meds.
But you've done it and told them.
Oh yeah, I've done it and told them. Yeah, I'm in there to get better. You know, once you're there and you've come out the tunnel, you've come out the other side of, you know, ICU, regular ward, mental health unit. You've been in there a month. You know, then you're like, right, I might as well.
Is it tiring?
Oh my God, yeah.
Is it draining being around other people who aren't well?
Yeah.
Would that hamper some people?
Hugely. Usually, my psychiatrist will say to me, "We need to get you out of here as soon as possible." And then I'm discharged, and then I have a support worker. I have a support worker who comes or calls, depending on where I'm at, how I'm feeling, weekly or bi-weekly, so that they support me in whatever it is that I need. My lady's just gone on maternity leave, so I've just got somebody else to help me, so there was like a bit of a handover between them. But that's useful as well, having somebody that you know that's out here that you can call on. I know though for a fact, if I rang up that ward, or I rang up Dr. Sluger or Dr. Khan or Dr. Andrews, my GP, they would be there for me. I know that 100%.
Is that because you've now got a history
Yeah.
Would it be more difficult if someone was sort of starting out on this?
Yeah, because they wouldn't know. You know, I've been in before today, and I've shoved a note under the counter in the doctors and gone, I'm gonna kill myself. And literally within seconds, Dr. Andrews has appeared, sent me an ambulance to A&E. Off you go on the ward. She's really good.
Is that what you wanted her to do?
Yeah.
You can admit yourself, can't you? But it's a different.
Yeah, but
it's more difficult to get admitted into. If you went to A&E and said, is that right?
Sorry, but it was that.
No.
It is usually difficult to get into a psychiatric unit. I'm not suggesting, like I said, love the NHS and I love what they do. But you've got people that are not psychologically trained. You know, they can deal with a break, they can deal with a bleed. Yep. You know, but you can't see what's going on in somebody's mind. You know, and it's very difficult for them to diagnose. And often, I've waited hours and hours.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I've waited hours and hours and hours for somebody from the mental health team to come down, but they're not somebody who works on the mental health ward. They're not somebody, and to be honest, they've been shocking, and they've literally sent me home. And then within the following day, I've ended up going in via ambulance. You know, and that's not. I'm not saying that's the route. Do that because you'll get in. That's not it. That's just because I genuinely needed to be locked up for my own safety, and for whatever reason.
So, are you still having thoughts now of not being here? What I'm not finding hard to understand. I find it all very interesting, and it is a.
It's very direct.
It is. It's an amazing insight. It's almost like, right, when you reach that point, the bad point, you're just going to do it.
Yeah.
You're going to take it out. It's not going to tell anyone like you have done.
Yeah.
On your journey to that point, you might be cutting, you might realise yourself, you might take a bit more medication to try and knock it off. And obviously at some points, you know, you realised and you've gone for help, like to a GP or something like that.
I do think about killing myself, yeah.
What, every day?
Not every day. But
and you know, because it's a nice day today and we're sat in garden or whatever, would you maybe not think of it today, or as environmental factors and home factors not got anything to do with you? It's whatever's going on with you in your head in that day. You know, you're less like if you're sat, you know, can see dogs chilling out in there, waiting to terrorise me.
So I haven't been sat out in the garden because I've had some days where they've not been so good, where I've stayed in bed, you know.
Right, I'll tell you what I'm pretty good at the moment, me, because of what I'm doing. I'm enjoying it and it's keeping me busy, but even myself, the worst day for me is when our lass has had 3 off and goes back to work. I don't mean that in a look at me. I mean, I have to get motivated to do stuff. Yeah. I'm not on any medication. Yeah. I'm not in a bad place, but I still need to get motivated. And I'm stuck in house on my own. Obviously, I can take dog out like you can. So what you know, distinguishes, gets you out there or makes you do something when you're isolated? Because it is lonely. I think a lot of people, are really lonely, and I think being on their own is not. It's not. We're social animals, aren't we?
Yeah, of course we are.
Although when you get really poorly, it's like fuck
you
off.
Want to be on your own. Yeah. It's hard at the minute because since I got out on the 4th of April, I told you I've had trouble with going out. Unless somebody's at the other end that understands me. So this house, this home, this is my home. I feel safe here. I feel safer in my bed than I do anywhere else. So when the shit hits the fan, it's usually my bed. I could take and show you the mattress on my side of the bed if you wanted. It's soaked in blood, and there's obviously nothing I can do about that. I'd have to fling the mattress out, and it's fairly new. where I do what I do and then I just get back in bed, and which is might be odd to some people.
I'm sure it will be odd to people because it's not the very matter of fact. No, it is.
Yeah.
It isn't very matter of fact,
I want
isn't
to be
it?
honest with you,
because
you've been so supportive of me with my mental health, texting me and how you doing, and you've said a few how do's, and I've known the tip of the hat to me.
Does that help?
That's meant. Oh my God, you've no idea. That's
meant the world to me. Making me a bit emotional now.
It has. It's meant the world to me.
Explain that to people, because I keep telling people to fucking text people, and speaking to people helps, and they don't understand.
Yeah, they do. You text people, speak to people. Even if that person it does not want to speak to you, just have a brew with them. Just take like 5 minutes, even a text. Like
does that keep going? Is that
sometimes that is like, whoa, that's like somebody doing that to you, and you go, bloody hell, hang on. It gives you a little bit of passion again, or a little bit of a jolt, or even to do something. So might even be clean a frigging fish tank out, but it's something better than 10 minutes ago where I was just like feeling shit, feeling flat. Like I said, that's just on a day where you're on a downer. That's nothing to do with being mentally ill. That's just sometimes people feel generally down with what's going on in life, the world, relationships.
I think anybody, wherever you are, whether you're unwell or not, I think it can make a big difference.
Of course it can. And it's made a huge difference to me. A huge difference that you've give a tip of the hat to me, and I've known it's me, and you've not said my name, but I've known it's me. And Darren sent it to me, and I've been on the unit, and I've seen it.
On the forensic unit, watching a bit of real porridge.
It's been good, and I've gone, listen to this, to somebody, and he means me, and that's been good, It's especially when you're recovering, that does mean a lot, because recovery, you need people around you, and I'm getting psychology. I'm having psychology. I've had 3 sessions now of psychology, and I got really emotional in the second one because I talked about people that I've been really close to in the past, 2 people in especially, and they've really distanced themselves from me, and I think that's because they can't cope with me when I'm unwell, and they obviously never know when I'm gonna be unwell, and that's hard for me, but also as well I also understand their point of view, that is hard. You have got to distance yourself sometimes from people who are unwell, and I get that, if somebody don't want to be my friend, or don't want to contact with me anymore.
It's that people don't know what to say. It's like that thing. I remember a lass at work, when my mum died, I went back to work. I was about 20, she was only 38, my mum. I went back to work, and people were avoiding me and not talking to me, and it made me conscious. And one lass who got on really well walked straight up, boom, sorry to hear about your mum, boom, tears, she had tears. People don't know how to react to mental health, they don't know how to speak to people. I think they feel awkward.
Yeah, they do.
They feel awkward, and they also feel uncomfortable.
They do. It's true.
I remember the first day that I worked at Anna Hazelwood House, at Chesterfield, right? So, I've been a doorman. The best thing I ever did for getting sort of human contact, I don't mean, although it was direct, was when I was doing the massage. All my clients pretty much were female.
Yeah.
And if you've never been a male masseur, I've got clients, people I don't know, walking in off street.
Yeah.
They're going to be laid with very little on a couch. You have to be, sort of best. You have to put people at ease. A lot of them, because it said on the leaflet, Sam thought it was a woman. Yeah. But I remember when I first walked in that forensic unit, I did feel like a fish out of water, but I didn't feel super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The first charge nurse I met, she went, Sam, just sit yourself down before you go out there, read a couple of files,
Yeah.
only a couple, so it'll screw your head, and then you just, you know, you're in their home or whatever.
And I've never, you know, distinguished male or female carer on the ward. To me, they've always been, you know, it's never mattered to me, despite what's happened in my past. I'm not going to go into that in too much detail, but you know, I'm very wary of males. But in there, I've found that some of the best, like, support carers have been male. And you know what? You know, they also are human as well. They you know, if you there's all that, oh, we're not supposed to have contact and all that crap, but if you want a hug, they'll give you an hug, and it's not meant in a sexual way at all, but just in a, you know, where I've been just crying and crying and crying, you know, been on the phone to my mum crying, you know, my mum's talked me down and then said, right, go and get one of the members of staff because I've been in my room. And you do that whole, yeah, I'm all right, you know, as they look through the window and, you know, tears streaming down your face. And yeah, I've gone and got, and it's been a male member of staff that I've gone and got that I trust, and, you know, one of them I called my ward husband. Yeah, you know, it's not matter to me, but it does matter to some people, but it's never mattered to me.
I just think people are really, really uncomfortable and don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's true.
Which is fine. It's fine being uncomfortable, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.
You wouldn't if somebody.
Yeah, but you don't. For me, if somebody knows, and they're gonna know now, if they didn't know already, obviously that I'm a mental health patient. You'd rather, like you'll ask, and I've got that's direct. You'd rather people ask you questions, not even if it's just curiosity. You know, a lot of us are happy to talk about. I've not been into any story with you, just, you know, the matter of fact stuff about the wards and me and and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we're happy to talk about it because we want to educate people. We want to say, you know, it is okay not to be okay. You know, I've texted you going, Sammy, you're right, you didn't look so well on this podcast or whatever.
Sometimes you get a bit upset and frustrated and.
No, but just like reach out to people, even if it is bloody morbid curiosity, you know, because that can make a massive difference to someone. It really can. But I will say, when I've been, you know, because people will go, well, why didn't you then when you were, you know, at your lowest? I've said to you before, you know, for me, once I've powered down, I have no recollection of some of the last couple of days or even hours. So I get to that point where it's gone beyond, which is why I end up doing what I've done. I would say for me and my family, and a lot of people that I've come into contact with, when you get to that point and somebody says to you, be happy, you know, if I've gone through with suicide, that's my intention to do that. And please, I would not want anybody to be sad for me, because that is my happy. You know, if I've got to that point, then that would be my happy. So please, you know, just don't.
We did discuss earlier, didn't we? You know, I've come across quite a few people now who haven't got to the point of passing out and medical interventions. Just a point where they've taken a shitload of tablets, taken it instantly in a place, sort of a happy place, relief, clear head, and then obviously the other shit comes after. But
we don't mean to make anybody sad, you know, like you hear of people that have gone and jumped off bridges, and unfortunately, you know, we're hearing more and more. It's become more and more in the media because we're shining more of a spotlight on mental health. And if people have done that, you know, I know there's people gone, oh my god, it is sad. It is sad, and it's sad for the people that you leave behind, but I don't consider it to be selfish. I don't for 1 minute, because trust me, live in my fucking head. for a couple of hours, never mind days, when I'm on a bad one, then you'll know what a relief that would be for me. So please, never, if you know, feel bad if you hear something.
Do you think your mum understands that?
I think she does now. She doesn't. I think it's took her about 8 years to come round. She doesn't kind of say that whole, you know, oh, you're so beautiful, you're so lovely, you've got all your life ahead of you to live. You know, she just brings a bag of clothes, or, you know, is on the other end of the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, and I've phoned her from the ward in tears, you know, and, you know, she's tried to get me to breathe so I can actually speak. And my mum's matter of fact about it now. I think my mum's knows that there at some point she could get a phone call to say, unfortunately, it's not good news. You know, I know that's crap, but that's the reality of mental health, I'm afraid.
It is, love.
You can't fix the...
Right, you know what? Very good insight that. I've enjoyed that chat. I'm sure some people find it quite harrowing. However, we've also discussed this. If there's any questions, people want to know more about the medication, you know, people who are mentally unwell, whatever stage they're at, whatever condition, you know, whether it's a personality disorder or schizophrenic, they have a good idea and a medication. Interestingly enough, you said they've got you on the pill.
Yes.
Just explain that before we sign off, why they've got you on the pill.
Yeah, so I've been on the pill, obviously, for years. Darren's had the snip, so we're never going to have our own children. But it's just chemically for a balance, so that they're still pumping estrogen into me, for stability reasons, really. So
see, all the meds you're on, people think so. Just
you
taking
think
a
that'd
pill.
be stable?
Yeah, but obviously it is a consideration, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's a need. You know, that's something that was discussed, you know, with my doctor a long time ago. So it's like, no, let's just keep you on it and keep that consistency.
So I've just thought of something being a proper girl, man.
Yeah.
So when you start going through the change,
oh, don't.
That's gonna fucking play with your mental health as well, isn't it?
Big time.
Sorry about that. Well, obviously it's years away yet, isn't it?
It's, you know, it's knocking. You know.
Right.
I've got HRT.
Oh yeah.
Been some more tablets something frigging giving me.
Right. This is Anita. 9 out of 10 at the moment. I've seen her looking really bad. I'm glad she's in a good place. I've enjoyed the conversation. If you've got any questions at all, you want to know anything, you know, we're going to have another chat later. There's probably things that will go on, you know, we can discuss at a later time.
Yeah.
When it's appropriate or whatever. So, thanks for your time. Ask questions. I'll see you.
Thanks.
And I'm going to leave. Just wait. I won't say this. I'm going to leave the last word to... Sorry, go on.
Can't help yourself, can you?
No, I can't. I very much can't, indeed.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming. Cheers, guys.
Peace out. Oh.
See you soon.